Most agencies run a 14-day onboarding process. We compressed ours down to just 72 hours, and our month 3 churn dropped from 12% to 6%. It completely just halved. And here's exactly what we changed and why it works. So before I show you our system, you need to understand something that most agencies just get completely wrong. Churn is not a month 3 problem. It's a week 1 problem that's disguised as a 90-day problem, and it takes 90 days to show up on your dashboard. And by the time a client cancels in month 3, their decision was already made within the first week, probably within the first few days. You just didn't see it. So if you're trying to fix your churn by improving your month 3 delivery, that's a good idea, but it's already too late. You're treating the symptom and the problem started within the first few days. And so we had to rebuild everything around that reality. So here's the mental model that completely changed how we think about our onboarding. Your client's confidence is going to peak, and it's the highest trust you'll ever have with them, at least in the beginning, because they just made the decision to work with you, they're excited, and they believe in what you sold them. And then every single day after that, every single hour after that, that confidence is going to decay, and their trust is going to become more and more fragile. And it's not because you did anything wrong, it's just because time passes and they haven't seen anything yet. Doubt's going to creep in. They start wondering if they made the right call. Are you just like every other agency out there? They're waiting. So a great example is, have you ever ordered from a restaurant and the waiter comes around, asks to take your order, and you give them your order? Well, it's the same with your agency. As soon as you tell them your order, they write it down and they go to the kitchen, and you have this little excitement that your steak is on the way and it's coming, and you're getting the exact thing that you ordered. However, every 10 minutes that go by without you receiving your food, your patience level is going to diminish more and more and more each 10 minutes that goes by, until pretty soon you're like, where the fuck is my steak? Where's my order? And on the contrary side of things, if you order your food, and it's going to take the same amount of time regardless, between you getting your food, if they brought out appetizers or the waiter came around and explained the history of the restaurant, well, then it makes waiting for your food manageable, if not enjoyable. So we rebuilt our onboarding process around that idea, optimizing for early wins and just stopping this decay before it starts, because it starts sooner than you think. So here's exactly how the 72-hour system works. First, our onboarding calendar is only locked to 72 hours. That's it. The client has to book their kickoff call within the first 72 hours of signing. You may think that this is aggressive, but it's actually what they want. They just paid you. They want to feel like something's actually happening. The second thing we do is, within the first hour of them signing the contract and the invoice being paid, the account manager, who ideally they've already met, and the person they're going to be working with, sends 3 things. Not some onboarding specialist, not a coordinator, but the actual account manager who's going to be running their account and communicating with the client. They send their calendar link, they send a Slack invite, and they film a personal welcome video directly in the client's Slack channel by saying what they're excited about in regards to working with them, treating it like a human moment. And basically the video is like, we're so stoked to work with you, man. Love what you've done with the company. Love XYZ. I know we've already met, but I just wanted to send this welcome video to reinforce that when you're here, you're family. You know, it could be like the Olive Garden approach. We're talking about restaurants too much, but the point is, when they come into Slack, which is something they may not be familiar with, or maybe too familiar with shitty agencies in the past, you want to optimize for this warm, cozy welcome feeling, because it's going to make them feel like they actually have a growth partner on their team and not just some agency that they got passed over to some junior marketing associate. And that one move alone is going to change the entire tone of the relationship. You're setting the tone right then and there. The third thing we do is, everything in the 72 hours, the first 72 hours, is pointed to getting live as soon as possible, because the sooner we're live, the sooner we can get an early win. And the sooner we get an early win, which is the single most powerful churn prevention tool you have, you're reinforcing the client's decision that they made a good decision by working with you. You're building confidence, which is obviously going to help you have a very, very low churn. The more confident they are in your ability, and the more confident they are for you to go do what you do, and the owner can go focus on growing the business and higher leverage activities, that's the relationship you want. That's what you're trying to build. If you compare that to the old way, we'll get your assets set up next week if you could just fill out this onboarding form and send us over your brand guidelines before we move forward. Every one of those sentences, it's confidence bleeding out. You're giving them chores. You're not giving them wins, and they're paying you to give them wins, not homework. And so what does optimizing for early wins actually look like? So I don't want you to overthink this. This could literally be anything, such as, hey, the new creative we're testing has already lowered your CPA, or hey, we're seeing a higher ROAS than what you were doing previously. Another great way for you to look at this is to look at their previous year's numbers, especially if you help e-com. But look at the previous year's numbers for that month and just see if you're up from the previous year, and just say like, hey, we're already up from last year's April. Or it literally could be something as small as, hey, onboarding normally takes us 7 days to get live, but we got you live in 3 days. Like, celebrate. Make them feel like something's moving in the right direction, because the point is these clients want to see things moving in the right direction, and you need to frame it that things are moving in the right direction. They're not seeing what you're doing behind the scenes. You may be the best agency there is. If you're not communicating that to the client, they're going to think, well, what the hell are these guys doing? You could be the best restaurant in the world. If your steak takes an hour and a half to come out, you're probably not going to come back. And so why this works is, again, when we made these changes, month 3 churn dropped from 12% to 6%, which again is half. But the reason this works is not just the speed, it's the signal the speed sends. When your account manager reaches out within the first hour, the client is going to consciously think, wow, these guys are fast, and shit, these guys have their act together. Speed reads as confidence. It confirms the decision that they made, and it mitigates the fragility of their decision to question whether working with you was the right decision or not. I mean, when they join Slack and they see a personal welcome video before they've even joined the call, they don't feel like they're joining a new team. They feel like they've been there for a while, and that matters more than most agencies realize, because it reinforces again that they made a good decision by working with you. And that's the level of personal touch that makes you feel like an actual growth partner to these guys. And the first 72 hours are not about logistics, they're about psychology. And obviously don't lie about the results you're getting, be moral here, but you're either reinforcing the client's belief that they made a right call by working with you, or it's just slowly eroding. There's no neutral, there's no in between. Every hour you do nothing, decay is happening, and their trust is going lower and lower and lower, which sucks. And that's why your churn sucks. So you don't need to rebuild your entire operation to implement this, but you do need to do these 4 things, and you can do them all this week. It doesn't take a long time. So 1 is optimize for early wins. And I have this as the number 1 thing because it is the single most important thing you could do. Good communication and speed are the icing on the cake. They're important, but it's not the cake itself. Optimizing for early wins is the highest leverage thing you could do to mitigate your client churn. Now, the second thing you could do is lock your onboarding calendar to 72 hours out. Force the onboarding. Don't have it open-ended. Don't have them book a week out. Urgency to the service of the client here is important, because you're not pressuring them to, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. You're pressuring them. It's like, hey, we're the right team. We're ready to go. Let's do this thing. What are we waiting for? That's the message you want to convey. Third thing you can do is make the person they're going to be working with, the account manager, the first human contact, not a coordinator, not an onboarding doc. The actual person who's going to be running the account is owning that, because the relationship starts with this person. You don't want to introduce the person that's going to be working with the account on week 2. That sucks. You know the idea of telephone where it goes from like salesman, person who audits your account, onboarding specialist, person who's actually going to work on your account. Every single person you're passing this client to, their trust is going down by 33%. And by the time you get to the 4th person, or the person that's actually going to work on their account, they've already met 4 people. They're like, what the hell is going on? So make sure the person that's actually running their account has FaceTime with them as soon as possible, ideally before the client's even closed. Now, the 4th thing is just film a welcome video in Slack. I know this is a little thing, but it takes 30 seconds. Say their name, say what you're excited to work on, make it feel like you already care about them and know the specific bottlenecks that they're going through, because you should. And when you do those 4 things, which cost you maybe 20 minutes per new client, which is nothing, we've halved our churn by doing this. Like, is 20 minutes worth halving your churn? I'd say yes. Look, just to end this video, your client decided whether they trust you within the first 3 days. It's not the first month, it's the first 3 days. And so that is where majority of your energy should go. Not into, oh, we need to improve results by month 3. We need to improve our delivery decks, or like maybe we need to fix tracking here. Like, obviously deliver a good service, but spend the first 72 hours optimizing for early wins, building their confidence, over communicating if tracking is an issue. You know, fix what you have to do, but act like they made a good decision by working with you.